Hola, hola, and bienvenidos, and welcome to Tech and Tequila. I am your host, Kat Lopez Shelby, your techie chica. And you know what? Today's guest almost needs no introduction because first off, she is a returning guest to the podcast. I'm always super grateful to have amazing people back on, but I'm also generally super excited about today's podcast because we are talking leadership. We're talking AI that actually does something, of course, the partner ecosystem, and what the future of business communications is going to look like as we head into 2026. And of course, we're doing it in Tech and Tequila style. So real conversations, not a bunch of tech jargon, no fluff, and just enough spice to make it delicious and good. So today I am, of course, joined by Celeste Labrie, who is the RVP of Partner Sales at Dialpad. And if you don't know her, she is an amazing true leader in the channel, a community builder, and someone who is helping shape how AI shows up in the real world business communication space. So of course, Celeste, welcome to Tech and Tequila.
Kat, thank you so much for having me. It is always such an honor to be on your podcast. I was happy to come back. I love how the style you do it. Nice ease. Let's get some real conversation going on. And I'm happy to call you my friend. And let's talk tequila and tech.
I know. And I know, of course, this would not be Tech and Tequila without us doing a little tequila talk before we do tech. So you and I made the decision we were going to bring some of our favorite tequila on. And yes. I got this bad boy over Christmas, and I don't know if you can see it. It's going to blur it out. So I'm sorry that it's doing that. But this is actually the Extra Añejo Orgánica, which is the limited release of Tequila Pantalones. And it is delicious. Yeah, I think you can still see. I can.
Yeah, just put it right in front of your face.
There you go. Right in front of my face. There y'all go. Tequila. It's delicious. You know, obviously this one is kind of medium age, but it is absolutely delicious. What did you bring today?
So I also brought, no, I did not bring an añejo. I brought a reposado, which is Clase Azul.
Yes, yes.
And this one is kind of unique to me. If you know me, but other people who don't know me, I only drink tequila. My birthday, Jesus's birthday, all the birthdays. And I usually only prefer Blanco. Mm-hmm. This one is particularly delicious. So if you haven't tried it, I feel like it doesn't overwhelm you in like the smoky sense so much that you can do it. I really like Mexican martinis. So this is the one I've been doing mine with. And I went ahead and brought us one to get the day started with.
All right. Cheers. So salute. You can have your martini and I'll have a little shot. Salute. I love it.
So good.
I know. I really like when you take a shot, and I like to say there's a distinct difference between a kick and a burn.
Oh, yeah.
And you always want your tequila to have a little kick, but never a burn. You want it to be very smooth.
Agreed.
And Pantalones is definitely that way. Now, first and foremost, I wanted to start at the beginning of your story. When you first came into tech, right? What pulled you into partner sales, and how did that path eventually kind of lead you to Dialpad?
Well, I first and foremost, I kind of a little bit of a unique situation where some people come in and they automatically start working. I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and then I had my father got really ill, so I was taking care of him. And I had some friends in the industry. They were always asking me like, hey, you should try this if you want to get into work and whatever. And I actually started in marketing for the first year and building all the materials that essentially would aid sales. I was like, all I wanted to do was be on the other side. My dad used to tell me, if you could make $1 million being somebody's friend, then I should definitely go down that direction. So I did. I dove into sales. So it was a lot of hard work as far as like making sure that I knew like how tech changes, all the products, learning all that. So it definitely pulled me in that direction. So a little luck, but I feel like behind all luck is usually a lot of hard work. It was something I really wanted, and I went for that. And then to Dialpad actually was my second job in the channel, and I was working for a TSD, and Dialpad presented it to it, and this was years ago. And we were considering bringing Dialpad on as the platform that we used internally. And I remember falling in love with it. And you have those moments that you mark in your brain like someday, right? Mm-hmm. Like someday. Because as a TSD, you see a lot of products come at you. And so you get to really get an overview of all of them. And I knew that someday that was a company that I wanted to be part of. At that time, I felt like it was a true unicorn in the channel and that it would take off, and got that one right. And I was blessed enough to have the opportunity to come on, and I have been here for a year and 2 months, and I am just as excited about the product as I was then. And now I have even more belief in it than I did knowing all the intricacies of it. So it truly is a solid platform. They're always innovating, and the culture within the company is unmatched.
Yeah. No, and I think that it's fascinating because you have this path that you walked, right? Was there a moment when you were kind of going through, like you said, you started marketing, then sales, then over here, where you were like, okay, this is it? Like, this is what I want to do. I love being in tech. Like, what was that moment for you?
I think I will mimic most salespeople when I will tell you it was one of the first deals that I was in at sales, where it was at the very beginning, and I got to walk the walk with the partner from the beginning of the sale to the end with the win. And it wasn't even like revenue as heavy as we deal with now, but it was being a part of a team effort, and almost like competitive sports when you're young and you're in it and then you get the W. That feeling, which is just replicated every time that I work, gets me out of bed in the morning. I know I want to do nothing else. Like, my body will not allow me to do all the things that I did in sports, but that competitive feeling of being in it from the beginning and then getting that W at the end, that was it. And I'll say probably just in the infancy of my career, so probably my second year in tech, I knew that this was it. This was what I was supposed to be doing, and I just wanted to get better and better at it.
I love that story because you talk about the team part aspect of it, right? And obviously you're a leader in the channel. So you're leading at this high level. What is one of the leadership lessons that you've learned along the way, whether it be something that you've seen or maybe something hard? Like, what is a lesson that you're taking into your role now?
I think, and I humbly say this, I'm still trying to work my way as far as I can to the top. But I think what's so important when you are a leader of something, whether that be a TSD, a partner, sales, everything from its smallest box to the largest box that you can be in, is that understanding that once we get into a professional place of our career, that there is no such thing as like a subordinate or someone that's smaller, right? We all put our work in to get where we're at. So I have really tried to be like, whatever I can do to help. I like to be in the trenches, whether or not that's inside my role or outside the role. If you need me, I got you. Being kind and trying to listen first before I talk. Because a lot of times we want to go with the answer because like, oh, we've seen this before. But every situation, and this in tech and in sales, is unique in nature. So you really got to listen. You got to get in there with them, and you're going in as a team and solving that problem. And I feel like people really respond to thinking, instead of you're just shooting orders from your ivory tower, you're like, hey, you and me, we both got a job to do. Let's go do it. And I plan to follow that as long as my career takes me.
No, and I love that. And I think it leads to a lot of times when you get into this leadership role, it's the when you have the ability to understand, like, for lack of a better term, every spot that got you to that space, because I don't want to say below, but every section, it helps to shape how you lead, right? And especially you have that understanding in the role that you're in. What is something that for you as a leader that you work really hard to mitigate? Like, I don't want to use the term not tolerate, but mitigate as a leader, like as somebody in the channel.
Well, I love that you said that we all kind of take steps to get to where we go to, because it helps me answer that question. I feel like I struggled with, as I was changing roles and moving in, we always say back to the basics, back to the basics. You got to do this. You got to do this. And I struggled staying on point with all of them while also trying to further my education in different tactics or doing whatever. So what I try to help anybody that I work with do, or advice that I can give them, is to keep a structure. It's so simple, right? You have to keep a calendar. You have to have time for education. You have to work that into every single week, especially in what we're in. Keep a calendar. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Regular follow-ups, bi-weekly check-ins. Even if you have nothing to say, you don't know that when you get in there, you're going to, naturally have something that, oh, do you remember this that week? And then you start brainstorming and you're working together and something can get up with that. So I feel like I try to, if I could put it in its simplest form, mitigate like people thinking that they have it all, like they got it all covered, right? Like, let me help you. Even if you think you don't need my help, let me help you. And in turn, you're probably going to help me. And I want to help form the mindset that we're all working at a bottom line for our companies, no matter who that is. And so don't ever put yourself on an island. Bring yourself out. Yes, build your brand, but also work together.
I love that. I love that. And there's no more perfect timing. We're going to take a very quick break to talk about something that's very important to me, which is Latinas in podcasting. The mini summit is coming up, which is all about expanding your voice. So we'll take a really quick second. That'll be right here. Ever feel like you have something to say, but when it's time to speak, post, or hit record, your voice disappears? This is your invitation to change that. The Latinas in Podcasting Mini Summit is where women creators and entrepreneurs come together to stop shrinking, stop second guessing, and start using their voice with confidence. Whether you're podcasting, speaking, building a brand, or sharing your story online, your voice matters now more than ever. At the Latinas in Podcasting Mini Summit, you'll hear from powerful speakers who've been exactly where you are, and will show you how to trust your voice, share your story without overthinking, show up consistently even when life is chaotic. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being heard. Join us for the Latinas in Podcasting Mini Summit and fall back in love with your voice. That's right. Go ahead. Grab your spot now, because your message, it's not too much. It is right on time. All right. So I know we talked about leadership and about like what that looks like and kind of your journey going. Now, obviously, I would be remiss if I did not talk about the fact that both yourself and I are, amazing women, mujeres that are in the channel. What do you think are possibly some barriers that we have more like, and this obviously is meant for you, but that women in the channel kind of have to navigate, and what help you move through them?
Wow. So I will tell you, Kat, like I thought about a lot about this question, because I feel like just like I've evolved over time, my answer to this question has evolved as well. So people are like, women in the workplace, and we all, like you and I both, we have movements. We like to support Latina women, young women who don't have possibilities, and all that I am absolutely for and will put my efforts into. But when you're talking about barriers that I see now, a day's live and living color for women, I'd like to take the opposite and say, I feel like some of those have lifted. I'd be naive to say that they're all gone, right? I think the most important thing that you can do to navigate any organization that may not support women as much as you think should be supportive, you have to navigate that with your career move. Right. So this is when you look into the culture. You look into their leadership. This is all homework that I was talking about. It's so important to stay educated on what you're becoming involved in, right? And so it's hard for me right now to come through that because like I am with Dialpad. My boss is a woman. All my other two counterparts are women. We are an entire team of a segment of Dialpad that is led and ran by women. And not by mistake, we were able to have the support of all of us to do that. To navigate that kind of stuff, networking, get yourself in women groups, but be careful. Take in the positive. Don't take in the negative. Just like anything, some people will turn it into all the way one way instead of the other way and just be like, we'll never da 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 da. You have to immerse yourself in like positive feedback. Like, what can I do? So women groups, educating, and number one, I would say probably for myself, besides networking, researching the culture, is that you have to be even smarter than the other people, right? Like you got to be smarter, right? I'll beat that to death on this podcast. You got to work harder. You got to put in the extra hours. You got to whatever. So when they look at you, they're not necessarily seeing whatever stereotype you can put that to. They're saying, oh, and also they can speak about XYZ. And then those kind of dull down. Like anything else that's a statistic or a barrier that we overcome, you have to be better as a whole. As women, we have to be better as a whole to overcome that. May not be the most popular opinion, but I think we've both been around long enough to see that putting in the work and the effort definitely shows outcomes.
No, I really couldn't agree more, especially about education. And I think that as a whole in tech, I mean, obviously we go, everything is light speed ahead, right? Because if you had asked like 3 years ago about AI, you would be having a very different discussion than you're having today, and probably a different discussion than we'll even be having in 6 months per se. You talked about networking, you talked about being part of groups. And, I would be completely remiss if I didn't say that, some of the groups that I'm a part of, like the Technology Advisor Alliance is hugely important. And of course, like the Executive Evolution, I think is really important. Those are great groups within the channel. What kind of support, because you talked a lot about that, do you feel like really makes a difference when you're like working or, anything of that nature?
These groups in particular that you mentioned, I'm involved in them and I love them. I think that a lot of them are going to trainings. They do trainings. They do the outside work that maybe you don't have time to, whatever, mom, career, kids. They offer training they really silo in on like, if you're in this particular situation, and then they train you how to handle that situation. And then you get these perspectives of how to navigate that. And it's an open forum of discussion for different ones. So I rely heavily in those groups, particularly for trainings of navigating a work culture that maybe you don't coincide with, but you're in it. Not everybody can just move jobs, dealing with a coworker, whether that be male or female, and how you do that, a position change, leadership conflict, and being part of those groups. They do that work for you. They bring you in. Most of the time it's free or a small fee to be a part of it. They have retreats. You go on and you get into the nitty gritty of that. And I would say of those, that's the information that you take. Like, yes, you do the fun stuff and you do the other stuff, but you take notes, you remember, and you use that to continue your career.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And part of this discussion really is about, and you've talked about it in several different spots that we've discussed already, but it's about investing in people and partnerships. And clearly you've done that. So what role do you feel like mentorship has played in your career?
I will say I've been lucky to be a mentor and a mentee. And I find myself at this point in my career, which is just like the best time ever. And I hope this part never ends, where I play both, right? I mentor and mentee. So I'll speak to both of them. The the channel moves so fast, like you said, right? There's people coming in all the time. So you can provide mentorship. You don't necessarily need accolades or years and years of experience. I mean, shoot, I feel like you can be in the channel 6 months and kind of mentor someone who's only been in it 6 months and say, hey, by the way, don't do this, you know? The partnerships that I've delved into have provided me the most amazing mentors. TSDs, partners, all people who have been in the weeds with, done large deals with, lost large deals with, try to grow with, taken a step back with. I've created these relationships, and those are my favorite right now. They're my mentors. But we're talking tech, but we're talking like market, worths of businesses, what's happening moving forward. And I think, just like I talked about a calendar earlier, it's time to put energy into those, put work into them. And when you come into those conversations, keep that going and be ready to do things. So mentor, mentee, I will always strive to be both, but they have definitely shaped the career that I've had now, whether saying, hey, you should look at this before you make this move, or hey, you should look at this before this move, or me going to someone that I will ultimately work with in my role saying, hey, don't do this. If you want to be the best, start like this. And it's really rewarding on both sides.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that is huge within the channel, or even like, and this is just as I'm processing this outside of the channel with a mentor-mentee relationship, is the ability to come exactly as you are. Like, you go into this, you want to be able to, I would say be authentic and like open about any struggle that you have, because a lot of us, we put like per se this mask on, like everything's always working out. What do you think is one of the things that really makes the mentorship relationship like really work? Like, what would be your version of that as well?
I would believe that you should pick a mentor, and I'll go from that. You should pick a mentor that you trust professionally and personally, because here's what makes a difference. When you pick a mentor, and say you just happen to have a relationship with the biggest, baddest, most successful person, and you're like, hey, will you be my mentor? Can you take time? The problem with going into a mentorship like that is that you don't know if your personalities align, if your goals for life align. Like, is their legacy money? Is their legacy family? You're not exactly sure. So I would say the best thing to do is to pick one where you know each other a little bit, you nurture that relationship before you just run to go get a mentor. Make sure you know them. And then you have to lay out expectations like, hey, when we have our goal, like, I'd really like to focus on building partnerships. I really like to understand the tech market as a whole. Oh, and also, how do those align with my personal goals as far as movement or how I present myself? Because a mentor-mentee relationship is a professional friendship, right? You have to trust them. They have to understand and listen what you're trying to get out of it. And it can't just be a conversation like, yeah, you're doing this, this, and this, because then neither one of you get anything out of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that you talked about is setting the expectation, right? Like, if it is going to be in that professional friendship relationship, it's setting it like, okay, what does that look like? Do we meet once a month? Do we open a Voxer? Like, and obviously you put boundaries around it because we all want everybody to have the relationship that is going to work best for them. But, setting those type of things, like once a month, we're going to sit down and this is what we're going to talk about, right? This is the expectation. So that way, that works twofold. Everybody knows what to expect. So,
and I think it's important that you have more than one. I know that we have like limited time, and like you said, you could do it once a month. Maybe you have a mentor that you meet with once a month, and that's aligned with whatever is most important to you. And then you have a mentor that you meet with quarterly, that you have like goals that you see. Have you reached? Have you touched? What did you do that they will do differently? And that way it's not such a time requirement on both sides, but you're still getting what you need out of that relationship.
No. And, and I think that going through that gives you a point of reflection, right? Which leads to probably like the perfect summing up right now is if you could go back and obviously give early career Celeste one piece of advice, what would it be?
There's nothing wrong with always leading with who you are. I think that has served me best. You know me very well. I am who I am. Mm. So I'm glad that I was able to do that at the beginning and lead that on to now. What would I change and tell earlier, Celeste, is that you have to take time to consider what everybody tells you. Because when you enter a career space, any kind of career space, people are going to come to you with a ton of opinions, just like parenting or anything else. And when you're so excited to start something, you're quick to be like, oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I would tell a person starting out in a career in tech to listen really, really well. Write it all down, whether you write it down, voice, text it, listen to on, audio, whatever, and think about what you're really good at and how you can implement those ideas into what you're good at, because you can't be other people. You can't do it the way other people did it. So I would start back then doing what I do now, which is taking all the information and trying to form my own version of it versus trying to just go be like, oh, that was successful for that person, so I'm going to go try and do that. So yes, younger people, be who you are, or newer people, they don't have to necessarily be age young, but who you are, take the information and mold that around who you are, because particularly in sales, you're never going to mimic another person.
No, I love that. And I think that really, I was going to say, hits the target, like right on the bullseye, is really work within what your personal zone of genius is.
Yes.
Because what may work amazing for somebody else, if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel authentic, it's not going to work for you. So you need to make sure that, you are working within your zone of genius. So
absolutely.
Now, I don't want anybody to get whiplash because we're going to kind of change our question set. But for those who came for tech, this is your portion right now. So, obviously you're a Dialpad. I'm going to be very open, very transparent, very honest. I love Dialpad. We use it within our company. I always tell people this: when it comes to customer service, tech is going to be teching sometimes. But Dialpad's customer service is top notch with follow up, with working with you, with getting things done. And I can speak from my personal experience, because I'm a small business, that goes for someone who's an SMB to someone who's a large company. You're getting plenty of attention.
We appreciate that.
I know that Dialpad has a very AI first approach. It was kind of like, I'm not going to say the very first, but one of the first to come on the scene with AI long before it became this huge buzzword. Why do you think for Dialpad that matters in business today?
Well, I think it's everything with Dialpad. I mean, first of all, we appreciate you saying that. We work very hard in those segments to make sure that our partners feel supported. But when you're talking about companies and they're saying, oh, we're an AI first company. I mean, what does that mean, right? Mm-hmm. That means that they're trying to put AI, they're trying to prioritize AI in everything they do, right? Their operations, their products, their customer experience, or whatever. Well, like Craig Walker, the founder of Dialpad, had genius enough to think about that way back when, right? Mm-hmm. So he built this natively in our platform, okay? So before anybody was talking about it, we're back here working on it, right? And why does that matter to your customers? Okay, so the first and foremost is it's built in. That doesn't mean if they're buying our UCAS, you're buying our CCAS, it's already an integral part of our system, right? So it's in there. And how does that help you, right? You're going to get a user-friendly experience. That's a very common buzzword that we hear, but that means this, right? So our features and our capabilities and everything that moves along with the AI is built into the system. So it seamlessly flows within it. You're not adding on, you're not bolting on anything. You're not worried about one thing not speaking to the other. And then you got to think about data management. Like that's a big thing with AI, right? So where does all the data comes from? Like everybody's big on Chat GPT and all that stuff, right? Like we have our own, right? Over like 9 billion minutes or something crazy. Don't quote me on that. That's all within our own, but it's not just internet wide. It's like business system concentrated, right? So when you do that, you're reducing, what's the word? Mistakes, right? Like for lack of a better verb, we are reducing downtime, latency problems, things that are having to speak on outside systems. And I think that one thing that people really don't talk about is like, that's also security, right? Because security is a big thing. The more and more that you have to go outside of your system's platform to enable these new AI systems, right? Your data is going outward, and that's a security breach. And with Dialpad, we truly are a one platform. It is all with us. So when you answer questions about AI being native, what does that mean for us? That is our everything. We are built from the bottom up. It's efficiency, it's seamless. If your system needs to be upgraded or there's some new great big thing that you can put on, well, we can do that within our system. So that almost automatically goes to your customers who have it in the platform. It's not some big migration or add-in to do it. So that's the beauty of Dialpad. The beauty of it is that it's simply already formulated for you with AI built in. So it's everything.
No, and I think you really brought a point. And just to give, for someone who hasn't had a lot of experience with Dialpad or anything like that, I want to talk about something that like I consider more of like basic when we think about it now. Because you want to think about like you're in your Zoom meetings and you put your AI to take notes and all that. Dialpad had that way before, where at the end of every meeting, you would get all that with like a list of, I call bullet points or to-dos. Like you said you would do this, like, and I don't want to say it keeps you to like, okay, this is what I want, but that already existed, right?
Right.
So, and I think what you really talked about is so important, is that there's a huge difference, because there are people, and not to be disrespectful, because you gotta get there somehow, but instead of it being a bolt-on, it's native within the system. I would say without, but yeah.
And let me just add on to what you say, what you're talking about for your viewers. If you can see what AI has built in, like just regular AI, right? We have AI CSAT, AI scorecards, AI playbooks, AI recaps. So like, what does that all mean? It means from the beginning, when you had some systems where you were having to do like personal surveys on whether or not you liked the call or whatever, like we have a 90% rate of coming back because we're analyzing the actual call, the sentiments of the call, how the call went, what was hit. And so your company is getting automatic feedback on how that goes. Our scorecards, your agents aren't so stressed out, because right when they're working right next to them, they're seeing like how they're doing. Does someone need to jump in automatically? This is way before their time. Playbooks. A manager, you buy our system, you go into it, you hit certain things that you make sure all your agents want to hit, and it's right to the next. And as they're speaking it, our system is checking off that you hit it. So the beautiful thing about our AI is it relieves work. Work is always stressful. It's never like super fun and games, but we're way ahead of the game as making our agents better that are in it, giving different sources on how to get that. And now we're rolling out Agentic, which we haven't even got to, and it just ups the bar for our game, which we've also been prepping for. I would proud to say way before our time.
Mm-hmm. No. And that really leads in, because my next question was going to be about Dialpad's Agentic AI. So from what I understand is that it doesn't just analyze or summarize. It actually is acting. Can you explain what that means in like real world terms?
I think the easiest way to put it is, if you remember like old school, like you would have bots, right? That like would come on, and you and I have probably both been in this situation, like they couldn't decipher what you were asking, because if you weren't using like the exact terminology that they needed to answer, then you weren't getting anywhere, right? And then, so what Agentic AI does, it's basically giving the system some like autonomy to be more human-like, right? So it can understand sentiments. It can link further in. When a phone call comes in, it's not just saying, oh, this is a repeat customer. This is like, we've talked to them this many times. It's almost like superhuman one-on-one, which I know everybody thinks it is, but where it really helps is like, you can't think of as Agentic AI as taking over like humans, but you can think of it for solving all the busy work, right? We have a really cool, or I read this really cool statistics that said that Gartner predicts that Agentic AI will automatically resolve 80% of common customer service issues by 2029. That's insane, right? Dialpad is absolutely a part of that. But what we're saying is we're not replacing people, but like, who wants to be on the other end of a job just resetting passwords their whole life? No, we're giving people the opportunity to go further in their careers, because this is taking care of this. And then if there is a real escalation, it's going to get to us, right? And you have 24-hour access. It acts on its own. It can schedule, it can send out emails proactively, which you and I, you're a small business, I'm in the same thing, working like that is like, oh my gosh, how much more of this can this take up of my day so I can get to my real work? So I know that was like all over the place. It's hard when it's a live podcast, but it really is just a superpower.
No, I love it. And I think you really touched on something, but I really want for the audience to be able to understand this, is that one of the things that a lot of like people in customer service or in their daily jobs, they have repetitive tasks. And those tasks actually increase burnout for that team. Because if you're going through your day and you're not that you want to deal with like these huge escalated customers, but if you're going through your day and 85% of everything you're doing is resetting a password or doing this, that creates burnout. So, I mean, I think you really touched on that. Like that having Agentic AI is not to replace humans. It's to make the job more effective and more efficient, right?
Absolutely. And that's what it's doing. You have to kind of change your perspective. I think when people say Agentic AI, it's no different than when any other like new tech has come out and everybody's like, whoa, right? I think the beauty of what Dialpad is, and especially if we can like you get on a demo with your customers, you could say, show this. The absolute beauty of it is it's so simple once you see it that you don't even realize what it's doing for you, right? And what it is releasing stress, releasing burnout, releasing all this so you can be more effective at your job. Like, you know, parallel, if someone would do all my laundry and cook all my dinners, I would be the best mother in the world, right? I would totally be always happy and always on the floor playing. We're trying to give agents, customers, managers, tools that can help them feel empowered to do their job more effectively.
Yeah. So really kind of what you're saying is this AI actually helps you get your job done. It's not just taking notes. It's not just, you know, and obviously it's not replacing you. It's just making you more effective.
Right.
Yes. So obviously customer experience is huge. I think that is a huge differentiator for all businesses. But when you look ahead to 2026, how do you see Dialpad's AI reshaping customer experience? Like, what do you see that as for Dialpad?
Let me try to put this out in a good way. How do I see Dialpad reshaping customer experience? I think that when a customer in their company has Dialpad integrated into, or they purchase, they come and be part of the Dialpad family, what they're going to see that they're customers feel is a willingness for repeat business to come back, less agent turnover, like employee satisfaction, right? So how does that play out to the customers? Well, this business, XYZ, I love working with them because I can text a problem on my phone that I have real quick and I get an answer immediately. Or my employee, I'm an employee and my pay stub was wrong and I can just boop, 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 and it's going to answer it right back and tell me this. Or, oh my God, I ordered that. I didn't mean to. Let me pop this real quick on my computer. Really, any avenue. So as a customer, you're just like super excited that this company that you've invested to is easy to work with. So why would I not buy all my things through them? Or why would I not use all my services through them? And that's why I always try to stress it's the things that people don't see that our agentic is offering. It's the ease of use, and it just keeps customers wanting to return. And what we hope for is the ripple effect as more and more companies get ingrained with Dialpad. They see this turn in their internal employees and their customers, and they're like, dang, what do they all have in common? Oh, they're using Dialpad. And it's a rocket ship right now. I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I would love to go in depth with any of your people to talk more openly and more like product by product on how that can enhance the experience.
No, and I think that what you're talking about is huge because you really hit on a few points. One of the things that universally, like, I don't think there is any industry that IE doesn't have like more churn than they would like. There are some industries obviously that have a lot more, but something that really improves customer experience is when someone can go to your business and know that they're dealing with the same person that they dealt with a month ago or 2 months ago. And Dialpad helps that because you're not only improving the external customer experience, but improving the internal customer experience as well.
And to put that out there, like when you're talking about our AI products, I completely agree. There is nothing worse than having a problem and then you call in and you have to repeat yourself, right? So what we are introducing is that when you call in rage because you've been on the phone and you go to call that same company to deal with whatever problem, where your agent is getting on the side is automatic, like, hey, by the way, we talked to them on this date. This was the problem. This was the resolution. Here we are on this. So you're arming your agents with all these information so they know how to come to them in a human interaction. They know like not to be bold or to be understanding or know that they're coming in hot. So you got to be ready to do that. And they go, hey, we see that a couple months ago you had this. Did something not happen? Let me help you do that. I mean, how amazing is that for a product to be able to do that?
Exactly. I really think that hits the nail on the head. So obviously, if you're a longtime listener to Tech and Tequila, I've only said that once this episode, so you should be impressed and your liver will be thanking you if you're taking shots. Now, we've talked about, your experience in the channel. We've talked about what Dialpad brings for the customer. Now let's kind of flip the script a little bit and let's talk about Dialpad has obviously built this amazing partner ecosystem. What do you see evolving for the channel, the partner ecosystem, as we head into 2026?
With Dialpad or just in general?
Well, I was going to say with Dialpad. I mean, So.
Okay. Well, I think that we've all seen changes in the market of how partner works, right? I think one of the beautiful things about Dialpad is there's certain parts of the market or the partner market that we fit really well in. SMB, mid-market, you see that, right? We are taking on with our new agentic offering, going up market with that, right? Really diving into some enterprise level deals. And we've equipped our teams, our product, our platform, and our staff to be ready to handle that. We do have case studies and stuff of that nature that I can see you. But what I think is that instead of being seen as just fitting in one place. Like you always say, you can be a jack of all trades, master of none. Mm-hmm. I think that Dialpad has done such an amazing job of building this from the ground, starting with being natively AI, fitting in where we know, and now setting our sights in upmarket and enterprise levels with our new agentic offering. I think, and we've also, I will say out loud, especially since we're on a podcast, we've had a lot of leadership changes with people who've been successful in these efforts. And so there's nothing like taking people who know what they know and then adopting the Dialpad culture. So I think what you're going to see in 2026 is this huge shift of where you may not have considered Dialpad before for your larger customers or stuff like that, where you're going to be like, man, maybe I should go. And I have respect for all competitors. Everybody has a place, so I won't say that. But I do think that you will see us be a player where you may not have seen us before. And I think that because of the success that we have had and we will maintain in our lower level markets, that will build the trust to see us in 2026. And I'm excited to see the growth.
I love all that, because I think having that breadth of being able to work with small, medium, and large makes a huge difference, because Dial can be so effective in each of those different markets, right? But the other thing that I want to make sure that everybody understands, especially if you're a partner, especially if you're in that ecosystem, is, and this is kind of taking it back to what you talked about at first, is that Dialpad is in it to help you. Like, you're not just out here on your own. Like, if you bring something in, there's an ecosystem that's developed where you, I would say, for lack of a better term, work hand in hand with Dialpad to get across the finish line to the W.
Absolutely. I think that's a big part of who we are. And sometimes when you have companies that go in and they're like, we're going to offer this across the board, it's not the experience or not that they have the knowledge. It's just like anything, you have to live in something long enough in order to really be good at it, just like life experience. And we are very in tune with who our partners are and who their customers are. And we want to get on the phone and help them, because opportunities can only grow and people don't know what they don't know. So while you may be living in like a smaller space, you let Dialpad come in and help you. You don't know if there's a larger opportunity that's there. And we're willing to give the time and effort to help you find that. And I think that that's a big differentiator between us as well.
Absolutely. And I want to tell this for any, person in the channel, any SMB, any technology advisor, don't ever forget that a lot of these small businesses that you work with, they have contracts with these big guys. So, don't ever delineate the 1, 2, 3s, because some of these consulting people work with I would say the big dogs, and they're going to be a way to kind of help you get into that. I loved talking about Dialpad and obviously talking about your experience in the channel. As we wrap up this podcast, this conversation, what excites you most about Dialpad headed into 2026?
I think that the term, it almost doesn't fit, but this is how I feel personally. Like, you practice like you play. Mm-hmm. I think that we have put so much, and this is wholly like the founders, employees, and everything. We've put so much into developing where we are, and we're all involved. People should know that internally, we're all involved. We're all on massive calls. They take all of our opinions on growth and different perspectives from the channel or from business and stuff. We've done all this, all to this culmination of what is essentially going to be another big technology boom, whether you believe it or not, that's the cusp that we're on right now. And we're ready to play, right? Mm-hmm. I would be hard pressed to find a situation where we can't help you find an answer or we can point you in the right direction to find it. I'm not saying we're always going to be the best fit, but I promise you that we will be honest and tell you, hey, this is where you should go, or yes, we can fit here, or no, we can't. And every person that you talk to on the team is going to be knowledgeable enough to give you an answer that you can trust to go to your customers with. And so I'm excited to be a part of this team and this engine as we ramp up to do big things.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, this is like a question that I ask every single time. If a business remembers like one thing about Dialpad, or people have one takeaway in 2026, what should it be?
I think that the one thing that you should always remember is that whatever technology comes at you and you see these big, bright, shiny lights coming at you from all angles, because they will all be coming at you, what you need to remember is Dialpad is whole. Mm-hmm. We are natively built with AI. We are agentic. We fit in all your markets. And remember that sometimes the one that you put in the long, hard, slow burn with is going to be the most stable, the most efficient, and the most secure. And remember us for that.
I love it. First off, Celeste, thank you for coming on the podcast. It's been such an amazing, powerful conversation. Thank you for being authentic, sharing your journey, your leadership perspective, and of course, what's coming to Dialpad. For our listeners, what is the best way if they want to connect with you or reach out to you, Celeste, and learn more about Dialpad?
Well, I encourage anybody who sees this to definitely link with me on LinkedIn if you have if you would like to get connected to me. And I constantly post different changes and links to things that you can see about Dialpad that is up and coming or changing. Also, you can always email me at celeste.labrie@dialpad.com, and I will be sure to get you in touch with the correct teams or support you as well. I personally support two of the TSDs. I support Avant and Bridgepoint, but I have close relationships with my teams who support others. So like I said, I'll get you the right direction. Just LinkedIn me. If you even just want to know a little bit more, you want me to send you some white pagers or one pagers, white pages, whatever.
Case studies, throw those in.
Case studies, whatever you want, whatever you need, I can get that to you.
I love it. Thank you so much. And of course, familia, if you love this episode, do me a favor, because obviously it helps with that word that we all hear all the time, the algorithm. Share it with a friend, leave a review, and of course, subscribe so you can come hang out with us again. So until next time, remember, your tech should work for you and not against you. And you should be having a wonderful sip of tequila at the end of the evening because you've had a wonderful day, not because your tech is making you drink. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Tech and Tequila. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. To stay updated about all things tech and more, don't forget to visit us at our website, shelbyts.com. If you loved what you heard, remember to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our podcast. Your 5-star ratings and reviews mean the world to us and help us to reach more listeners just like you. So muchas gracias again for joining us with Tech and Tequila. Thank you so much. You learned a lot about tech and maybe you had a nice drink of tequila.